4 signs you're emotionally intelligent. By the end of this video or podcast, wherever you're watching or listening, you're going to have 4 signs to look for to work out if you are emotionally intelligent. I'm Jono White, founder and principal consultant of Clarity. You can probably tell from my accent. I'm based in Australia, in Brisbane, a beautiful part of Australia. And I work with leaders around the world. And I just want to thank you for subscribing, following, liking, and sharing. If you haven't done that, please do that now for a couple of reasons. That helps us to get the word out there to help more leaders to become the very best they can be. And it also means that you'll stay in the loop with all of our content that we're always producing around all things leadership. So, 4 signs that you're emotionally intelligent. Before I jump into the 4 signs, I want to talk about emotional intelligence. In my opinion, emotional intelligence outweighs intellectual intelligence when it comes to great leaders. Let me say that again. Emotional intelligence is more important than intellectual intelligence if you want to be a great leader. Boom. Why is that challenging? Because so many of us, I don't know where you're at in your career, in your industry, maybe you're leading in a volunteer capacity. Often we get promoted, we get opportunities, the door opens because of our skill set, our intelligence, our intellectual intelligence. I'm really skilled at this job, I'm really great at doing this. So that's awesome. Good on you, good on us for doing that. However, when it comes to great leaders do the people stuff really well. That's what sets great leaders apart. People don't leave jobs, they leave people. And so if you want to be a great leader, then you need to be emotionally intelligent. Good news, you can grow in your emotional intelligence. Even if you feel like you're very emotionally unintelligent and you're looking and listening to this wanting confirmation of that. And this is an area that I know I need to work on. I want to grow in this area. Good news, you can grow in your emotional intelligence. So how do I know how emotionally intelligent I am? 4 signs you're emotionally intelligent. I might even flip this around and say 4 signs that you're not emotionally intelligent. It's a bit easier to look for these things. A couple of them will be negative things. So the first thing is, this is what you can look for. I want to ask you a question. How often are you surprised to find out that you've unintentionally offended someone? How often are you surprised to find out that you've unintentionally offended someone? I know I've done this, where you go, oh man, I didn't realize they'd take it that way. Did I even say that? Now, everyone experiences this from time to time, but one of the signs that you're emotionally intelligent is that this happens very rarely. And the stakes get higher and higher and higher as you lead, because the consequences for miscommunication, they get more and more severe. So the first sign to look for if you want to know whether you're emotionally intelligent is to think about how often you're surprised to find out if you've unintentionally offended someone. And if it happens often for you, then it's very likely that this is an area for you to grow in. And if it never happens, then that could be a sign that you're emotionally intelligent. So that's the first sign. The second sign of emotional intelligence is that people say this to you, oh wow, you're a great listener. You are such a great listener. Oh man, I just love sitting down over a coffee with you, and you're just a really good listener. Do you get that from people? Do you hear that from people? Emotional intelligence and listening are so connected. Because if we're a poor listener, then we're likely to be missing what people really mean, what they're really saying. And when people don't feel heard, that's when we run into a lot of troubles. The more emotionally intelligent we are, the more aware we are of things from someone else's perspective. And so if you hear from people, you're just not a very good listener, then that means this is probably an area of growth for you around emotional intelligence. And like I said, if people are constantly telling you that you're a great listener, then it's likely that emotional intelligence is very high for you. Another sign of emotional intelligence is, I think emotional intelligence and empathy are very similar. So this is a bit different to listening, but how easily do you put yourself in other people's shoes? How easily do you put yourself in other people's shoes? Or do you find that incredibly difficult to look at things from other people's perspective? Now, in general in life, this might not be that important. I think it is, but in general, it's not a back-breaking issue if you can't put yourself in other people's shoes. But as a leader, it is. Because people want to feel heard, and when we empathize with someone, when we're able to put ourselves in their shoes and we do empathy well, then it's a really good sign that we're emotionally intelligent. If this is something you really struggle with, or you hear this, once again, we get feedback on this. People will tell you. I work with a leader who is incredibly strong in empathy, incredibly strong, and he has this ability to read a room, to sit with someone. And you know what people say about him is they say when he'll enter a room with someone who's furious, but they'll come out as pals, as buddies, but authentically, not some sort of manufactured. Authentically, he's so natural. For him, it's a very natural skill. Such a natural empathizer, putting himself in their shoes, that people feel so understood that it opens the door for him to bring restoration, reconciliation around the issue that they're bringing to him. And that's the fourth thing, which is when it comes to emotional intelligence, the fourth sign that you're emotionally intelligent is that you generally do pretty well with people. I know that sounds very general, but it's such a good sign to stop and ask yourself, how well do I navigate people relationships? There's a great idea in this book by Henry Cloud, a psychologist, and it's called Integrity. I highly recommend the book for any leader out there, young or old. It's probably one of the best leadership books I've ever read. It's very good. And he talks about this idea of your wake. Your wake is like if you see a boat and it's got all the ripples behind it. And he says you need to, as a leader, you need to look behind you and look at your wake. And if I look behind me as a leader, boy, there were some waves I created and some crashes. At the same time, I'm really proud to have some people that I love dearly, that I've had the opportunity to lead, who I think I'm just really proud of the wake I have in their life. And I think for you as a leader, you want to look back at your wake. And for you, if you're just starting out as a leader, then look at your wake so far. If you're in your second, third decade of significant leadership, then let me challenge you. What is your wake as a leader? Look back behind you. What's the wake that you're leaving as a leader? Because as hard as that is to grapple with, you can change it. And if you're a young leader, you can grow as a leader, grow in your emotional intelligence, lead people so well that you look back and see a wake behind you of people being built up, not people being put down, of people wanting to stay close to you, not people constantly being churned and burned and leaving. Now, of course, those things happen in general. So that's why I'm saying it's more of a general observation, self-observation, self-awareness. If you want to see a fourth sign of emotional intelligence, it's just looking at how you go with people and looking at your wake as a leader in particular. So they're the 4 signs you're emotionally intelligent. If this has helped you to get clear in your leadership, then wherever you're watching or listening, comment with the word clarity. Everything we do here at Clarity is about leaders getting more clarity, building their personal leadership capacity, the leadership capacity of their team, their organization. Thank you for subscribing, following, liking, sharing. If you haven't done that, please do that now. That helps us to get the word out, to invest in more leaders to become the very best they can be, and it'll keep you in the loop with our content. We have, as an example, just last week released a new book called Step Up or Step Out, How to Deal with Difficult People Even If You Hate Conflict. And so we're always releasing new content. That book's available to buy, but there's also a bunch of free content on our website, consultclarity.org. As an example, we've had more than 1,000 leaders do the 7 questions on leadership. And it's free. It's on our website. You can go and look. We've had leaders from lots of different sectors, all different parts of the world, US, India, UK, UAE, Australia, New Zealand. It's really exciting. And so thank you for spending time with me. I appreciate it. It's an awesome opportunity for me to invest in you as a leader. I hope you found this valuable, and I look forward to catching you next time. Cheers.